Lions Rock Productions.
This is Popping the Bubbl with hosts Sandra Ponce de Leon and Pete A. Turner.
Hi, I'm Emiliano De Laurentiis, the CEO of Knowledge Avatars, and this is Popping the Bubbl. Knowledge Avatars is a platform to create and publish digital tutors. We make learning easier.
Okay, this is exactly why we want you on the show, making learning easier with avatars. This is a fantastic thing. So I'm flying solo. Sandra is working on wonderful things that she's about to talk about. So I'm taking the helm today and running here with Emiliano. I linked up with him on LinkedIn. You can find him, Emiliano De Laurentiis. If you type those words in, I promise you will see him. He's got a snazzy hat on, he's got a beard, and you will find him, and you will start to get what he's done. He's been in this, I'm going to call it, the AI space for 30 years. Is that fair to say AI, or what would you?
It is very fair. And Pete, I just want to add about my name. It's two eyes because a lot of people make that mistake. So if there are two eyes at the end. Right,
and I definitely encourage you to reach out. Emiliano is approachable, and he's got a world of knowledge about this. I'm actually looking right now on LinkedIn the article that you wrote last year, Robot Slaves Are Coming, talking about universal basic income, talking about the disruption of basically everything when it comes to how AI will impact things. I was recording last night with the fellows over at Everpedia, and they're taking their Wikipedia type company and they're putting it into a crypto-based system so that you can now start to monetize knowledge. So as we look at, and that's happened in the past, but at a much more granular level. So when we look at what is coming, these robots are coming. What are we all going to do? Lawyers are going to be disrupted, all kinds of things. X-ray techs. Sorry, like that job is going to be done by robots and better. So we're looking at what else we can do with AI. And one of the things you're talking about is using avatars with learning. How does, first off, how do we as humans fit into this process? Because the avatar will do a lot of it, but kind of talk me through that, man.
Well, a lot of people talk about mining the web and using deep learning to have computers mine the web and learn. Computers don't do, and what AI cannot do right now is teach effectively. They really don't know. They don't know how to teach. So humans are very much involved in our system to essentially teach the bot how to teach and to provide the knowledge that they have. So we're building an engine that we call the ontology engine that will essentially, where the bot will mine the human's brain and mine the human to understand how the human teaches and what knowledge that they have. So our goal is to effectively have these knowledge avatars represent your knowledge, so that you, as an instructor or a content expert, can at any time of the day, obviously, can be out there teaching people what you know. So we don't expect to have just one version of an accounting guru, for example, or an algebra guru, but we intend to have multiple versions depending on what it is that you want to what your knowledge is about a particular subject.
Interesting. So one of the things that I struggle with when I do my own business is I'm a pro at content creation, how to do it, how to get your message out, and putting that within a marketing plan. But I also have done a lot of work overseas in conflict zones, crossing cultures and intersecting them. Those two things, often I have to say, what do I do? I do a lot of things, So I can literally have an avatar focused on the cultural aspect and teaching companies how to create a more effective, more efficient corporate culture, at least more reliably. And then also I can have an avatar that's focused on the content side. Is that what you're saying?
Well, the idea is that you would have an avatar that focuses on what it is that you know. I'm not sure I understood your question.
I guess I can have more than one avatar because sometimes I have to put my culture hat on, sometimes I have to put my content creator hat on.
Yeah. Could have multiple avatars, and and as a tool developer, we try to make it very easy for people to create their own avatars. In fact, just to give you an example, there's a gal who's just started developing one to teach English as a second language, and in just a few days, she's already way ahead in the process of creating this knowledge avatar. So we've and people don't need any. There are no computer skills required other than your typical skills. There are no programming. There's no programming involved. It's all a matter of entering the knowledge that you have, and then and adding whatever multimedia you want. I mean, the system is very much like a very highly sophisticated learning management system. I try not to use the word learning management system to describe knowledge avatars because it's much more than that. But it is that as well. so,
Okay.
so individuals can go in there and start creating content, putting in videos, putting in interactive activities. They can embed other websites if they wish, and the system makes it very easy to deliver content and to and to teach effectively. One thing that we have that nobody else has is a knowledge matrix technology. The knowledge matrix is essentially a way to organize the knowledge in a way that the bot can access it. So it's really the bot's brain, but it's also a way to diagnose knowledge gaps in students and to help students navigate the knowledge so that they can see first of all the forest for the trees. They can see all the knowledge that they need to have in order to understand a particular in order to master a particular content area. But it also allows them to go in individually at each of in a very fine grained way to each of the individual concepts and to and see which prerequisites they need to be able to understand a particular concept. So one of the things that we are doing here, I don't know if you're aware, but in online learning right now, the attrition rate is 50% or higher, and so people are they just drop out of it because most of what we have online is very linear and it just very difficult to access. Uh, you basically have to spend a lot of time looking at videos and following the prescription of whatever instructional design or what it is that they anticipate. We're trying to anticipate that the students wanted. So so you spend a lot of time looking at videos, going back and forth on videos, and which are often also too long. With knowledge avatars, you can focus in specifically on what you need to learn when you want to learn it, and you don't spend an inordinate amount of time searching for content or relearning things that you already know.
The site is called knowledgeavatars.com. I'm looking at it right now. I wanted to ask you to identifying these gaps. I mean, it's one thing to be an instructor and do a learning check as you go through and slowly pull things out from people's, like the lecture method is so ineffective. So here we have the ability to identify gaps. Can you talk a little bit about how that works and what that means in terms of retention?
Well, for sure. Well, part of the problem is that when we teach something, we often assume that the students are understanding what we are trying. When we're explaining something or teaching something, or you'll often see this in textbooks, for example. The content is presented, it's taught, but let me backtrack actually a little bit. The process of learning is about creating a schema in your brain of the content in a particular knowledge domain. All right. I'll try. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to create a network. Just imagine a series of neurons, right? So imagine a network of concepts in your brain, and they are related to each other. When you're trying to learn something, whether you're reading or listening to a lecture, you're trying to take those concepts and trying to relate them to each other, and you're trying to create that scheme. So essentially what you're trying to do is to replicate the scheme that the professor has in his head or the writer has in his head. You're trying to replicate that in your own. If you succeed in doing that, then you are now you have mastered the content in that expert's mind. The problem is that when that expert is trying to explain that to you, they're not always aware of all of the concepts that they themselves have in their own mind in order to fully understand the particular knowledge domain. So what we have done with Knowledge Matrix, it's a very simple system, but just like powerful systems are often very simple. So what we have done is made it possible if you follow our rules in creating a knowledge matrix. You will learn in your own in the self-reflective process. You will learn all the concepts that you need to teach this subject or to represent the subject in a knowledge avatar, and for the bot to be intelligent about it. We did something. Last year we were working on our accounting guru system, and that was developed by a professor in New York City. And we spent a few weeks with the professor, and he was amazed by how many assumptions he was making in the teaching process. And at the end of this 2 weeks of us developing this knowledge matrix, he was amazed by the transformation in his own self, and he thought it made him a much better professor now, having understood that there are so many essential concepts that students need that he was just assuming they would automatically understand.
I see. So you're identifying not only gaps in the student's capability and what they are capable of grasping or have already grasped, but also your ability, I should say, your knowledge gaps that you have where you're making leaps that maybe need to be identified for yourself so you can more clearly identify, this is how I get from A to C. And then maybe even being correct that you can't actually make that leap as effectively, and there's actually a third step in there. That's fascinating to be able to map that out as you develop your curricula. What do the avatars live on knowledgeavatars.com? So I want to build a culture avatar learning program. Does that go on your thing, or does that come off and go onto my website?
We could do both. Generally, the way what happens now is that you create an account on Knowledge Avatars, and as you create your Knowledge Avatar, it lives. Your individual bot lives within the Knowledge Avatar window or space that is yours. One of the reasons we're doing it that way is also so that you can monetize your Knowledge Avatar. So you can access. So you can once you've finished your Knowledge Avatar, we can publish it, which makes it live, and you can set a price for that Knowledge Avatar. You sell it at whatever price you want it to be, and we take 30% of that gross price.
So what's an average? What's a fair number to get a class on whatever?
A fair number,
yeah.
A fair price.
Yeah. What do people typically charge to access an avatar for whatever the program is going to be? Accounting.
Yeah, so we're pricing accounting at $5 a week.
Okay.
We could do a subscription for system. We figured that we're assuming that many students will only want to have access to this digital tutor for a certain amount of time, perhaps while they're preparing for a class, for a test, or preparing for finals. Mm-hmm. Then on the other hand, there are some students who want it the whole semester. So it averages out to about $50 or $60 for the semester. Mm-hmm. Or they could be paying a lot less if they just want to cram for a few weeks and talk to the Knowledge Avatar. By the way, what we're also finding, a lot of systems these days, a lot of AI systems don't have a character phase. No, they don't have an actual character.
Right.
They just have, like Siri, for example, is just a bar or just a voice. And we decided to go with a character because in learning, I think it's very important to develop a relationship with your tutor, and having a face and having emotions being reflected with that face is all all works towards developing that relationship. And we're finding that that's exactly what is happening. Students are talking to our accounting guru about accounting, but then after a while they start talking about relationships and about other problems that they may be having in their life. So what we have done is we have our bots have essentially there's a parent bot that has a lot of knowledge about different things that are more general types of knowledge. For example, you can ask it about jokes, or you can ask it to inspire you with motivational quotes, or ask it what science is. So these are just general topics that we are giving the bot. But then within Accounting Guru, the bot has all the parents' knowledge as well as the accounting knowledge.
So let me see if I've got what you're saying here. So I'm looking at the website right now, and the avatar I see is named Sheila. Are all the avatars, do they all look like Sheila, or do you create an avatar?
Yeah, right now they all look like Sheila. Eventually, we want you to be able to select different genders, different races, and so on. So and hopefully we'll also be able to customize the bot to look like you if that is what you want. So that's all in the future.
Okay.
Our bots have different names, but they are and so they are different bots. Their knowledge is different, but they look the same at the moment.
Emiliano, what I want to ask you now is the avatars themselves. I'm talking to Sheila, the accounting bot, and then I think, oh, that's curious. I want to ask about accounting and teaching my kids about money. Can I ask that accounting Sheila avatar and say, teach me a little bit about accounting and teaching kids? And then would that go over to somebody else's avatar that has that class? Is it all matrixed together like that?
Right. So she would probably respond something like, that sounds to me like an accounting question. So you'll have to go to the accounting guru. Okay. And then there'll be a link to that, and if you're signed up for that, you'll be able to access her. And if not, you won't. So that's how that works. Yeah, and then if you're within the accounting guru and you're talking to the bot about accounting, like I said, she knows everything that Sheila knows. Our accounting guru is called Angela, so okay. A for accounting. Okay. So Angela knows everything that Sheila knows. She's a clone of Sheila, plus she has all the knowledge of accounting.
I see. And as you said that, Sheila nodded approvingly and said yes. So, that's right. Legitimately happened.
We've added a number of things recently. She has emotions, so she'll wink, she'll smile, so she'll nod, things of that sort. She also has voice recognition, so running her on Chrome. You can just have a conversation with her without having to do any typing.
No, that's fantastic. So let me ask you this too. So,
hey everybody, Pete A. Turner, co-host of Popping the Bubbl. This episode is sponsored by us over here at Lions Rock Productions. What do? Content management strategy. We'll help you create podcasts, develop strategies, consult on what you've got. If you want to take a look at content, we would love to have an opportunity to do that for you. Now let's get back to Popping the Bubbl.
As someone who's consuming the product, I'm learning about accounting, but I want to break over to investing. Is there a subscription level that I can get so I can hop around and learn the tangential things as well?
Well, that's a good question. We're not at that point yet. The company is new, so we're developing a number of knowledge avatars, but basically we don't have an investing knowledge avatar right now. But let's say that we did.
Yeah. Okay.
The system is currently designed that you would have to subscribe to the different ones, to different individual ones. But that is certainly something we can add in the future, where you would have a general subscription to all of the bots. I am in the process of developing an instructional design network of people. We have about 4,000 in our network right now, and talking to quite a number of instructional designers about developing their own knowledge avatars. Well, hopefully within the next year, we'll have a lot of new knowledge avatars available, and as this community grows, we'll have the knowledge will continue to grow. we built something that is sort of like the Wikipedia of digital tutors,
Okay.
and except the fact that it won't be free. We Education has to be monetized in some way, and just like some things people have been used to having for free, like news. But now, of course, we are realizing that the quality requires some kind of a paywall. You need to be able to monetize content in some way. But we are also working on deals with organizations so that organizations can pay for a subscription to their for their organization, whether that's a college or a high school, or in some cases businesses, because there are training applications for knowledge avatars. You could have a knowledge avatar running on your phone or your tablet, so people can access knowledge while they're at their desk or even on the factory floor if they need it to access information about how to work certain types of processes or machines. So the applications are there are quite a few different possible applications here.
Well, we talked off mic about Mixology Guru. So is the Mixology Guru on the knowledgeavatars.com site, or is that a separate thing?
We decided to do that as a separate thing, primarily because we wanted Mixology Guru to also live on a kiosk. There are a number of companies that have asked us about that. So Mixology Guru has its own website. It is mixologyguru.knowledgeavatars.com,
Mm-hmm.
and soon we hope to have it in retail stores. So it teaches people how to make drinks. It has recipes, cocktail recipes, and we're in the process now of collecting cocktail recipes, collecting photography, and essentially growing the bot's brain about mixology. And her name, even she looks the same as Sheila. Her name is Maggie. And for mixology.
Right. I get it. So let's go back to the Knowledge Avatars site then, and I want to ask you this. So if I'm going to teach people about culture, and we build Connie, the knowledge guru for culture, do I own that space, or do I have to share that space with other experts?
What do you mean by own that space?
Do I have the only Connie, or can someone else write a competitive curricula that also uses Connie?
On culture, you mean?
Yeah.
We may not call her Connie, but she would be.
Yeah.
But yes, we could have multiple accounting knowledge avatars. The word avatar comes from. You're probably familiar with it from the idea of games. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Where an avatar represents you as a game, but a lot of people don't know the actual origin of the word avatar. It's from Hinduism.
Okay.
And in Hinduism, an avatar is a representation of a deity on Earth. So it's sort of the same idea as in Christianity, where Jesus Christ represents God on Earth. So that is what an avatar is. It's a representation of a deity on Earth. And a knowledge avatar is a representation of your deity, your knowledge, your mind in cyberspace. So that is how that name came about. So yes, we could have multiple knowledge avatars for different subjects, and eventually we'll have a method to identify rating them, so that the best ones will bubble to the top.
I got you. Okay. So there's a rating system that goes in there. And then how close are we to actually being able to do this? I mean, I know there's already a couple of avatars written, but when is this thing, is it already fielded and robust and going forward, or where are we at?
Yes, I'd say we're version 1 at the moment, and we're constantly upgrading it. And I started this project 4 years ago, after having invested my own funds in developing developing version 1 of the system. We now have a team of 13 people in 6 time zones, by the way, who are working on various aspects of knowledge avatars.
Right.
On the back end, on the software part of things, on the AI part of things, and character development, and also building knowledge. In fact, if I include some of the knowledge workers, some of the instructional designers, we're probably at around 15 people at the moment. And the idea is that I am working very closely with some instructional designers now, and I'm waiving a number of some fees so that we can get some knowledge avatars up and running. Our plan is to have a developer fee for just like when you develop apps for Apple, for example. There's a small developer fee, but we are waiving some of these fees right now to get things jump started. And we hope to have my idea is that we'll have an algebra guru soon. Hopefully, we'll have physics. We'll have chemistry represented. So I'd like to have as many different products, especially representing concepts in high school and college, so that we can meet those needs.
No, that's fantastic, being able to hit those things, and that's where you want it. There's also all of the other, like you said, the professional things. I'm in this situation, and I'm thinking of, like, I rarely ever have to do a gift card. How do I do that again? You can pull up your knowledge avatar, press this, press that. Okay, great. And so in a professional setting, it might have some fantastic things, or just in general, dealing with situations where it does help to have that avatar-based learning. I love all that stuff. So let me see if I can capture what we've talked about a little bit here. So avatars, which is a deity representing my knowledge, which I like that. Thank you for stroking the ego. But that avatar is going to execute my curricula, which has gone through your guys' planning matrix and identified gaps where maybe I'm not doing my best job, and gaps where maybe the students, where I need to slow down and give them more time in a certain topic. That avatar world could live on my website, but it also lives on yours. People pay a subscription to access my knowledge guru in accounting or whatever field it's going to be, and that's going to enable me to make a passive revenue once I build this thing. And you're looking to collect instructional designers to help create more of these avatars. What have I gotten wrong? What did I miss?
Everything pretty much correct. That's pretty perfect. The only thing is that if the bot is placed on somebody else's website, which like we discussed, you can do, then of course they'll be able to talk about that knowledge without it being behind the paywall. But the bot is also connecting a lot of other content within the knowledge avatar. So within the knowledge avatar environment, which is behind the paywall, what it is also doing is it's showing you the knowledge matrix, which is this interactive map. It is showing you videos. It is showing you other embedded websites. It's showing you interactive applications. So all these things are within the very rich educational knowledge avatar environment. So the bot is only one component of that, and in fact, a version 0.5 or whatever of knowledge avatars didn't even have a bot. So even though the bot was always part of the plan, the very early versions didn't even have a bot, because you could access all this content without having a bot entity. But the bot makes it more interesting, makes it easier to access the content. And in the near future, we are also going to be giving it some extra capabilities, such as the Socratic engine, where the bot will be asking you questions the way Socrates would ask a student, to help them become better learners. You want, because one of the problems is you want students to become better learners, to try to be less passive about their learning and much more active in accessing in the learning process. One of the things that we have done also is we have a pedagogical model that we call FEED. FEED stands for feedback, examples, experiences, and definitions. And those are the main components of any concept. To learn any concept, you need those 4 components. And if you have that, then it adds. There's a couple of things it does. One thing is, if you understand every concept that you're learning well, then your building blocks for future learning is you're on a much stronger footing for future learning, and that is an important element to attain mastery. In fact, Saul Khan of the Khan Academy gave a speech, gave a TED talk not long ago, exactly addressing that issue. So one of the problems with learning, including Khan Academy learning, is that there's no way for students to know what it is that they're missing. And as you're, what are those knowledge gaps? So as you're going forward and trying to learn more and more complex subjects, the gaps become larger and larger, and you get to a point where you have to stop or go back and learn what you've missed. So our knowledge matrix technology allows you to move forward with mastery under your belt at each stage of the learning process. Now that is like, if you think of it, that's just like a game. That's how games work.
Right. Right.
You're always mastering a certain level, and then you're moving on to the next level. So that is which is highly motivating. Now, learning is intrinsically motivating to human beings, but we don't learn very well, or we get frustrated with it because our system, the general system that we have developed with schools and so forth, is really designed to. Well, it's not designed to make you fail, but it is. It encourages it in some way because you're learning on a deadline. You're learning at a pace that is not necessarily the right pace for you. Everybody is coming from different walks of life, different experiences, and different emotional situations as well. And so students, as they become older, those knowledge gaps and those it really starts to differentiate what is possible in their future. If you take care of those knowledge gaps early on, then students are able to access a lot more capabilities in their future learning. So that is our goal, and I think with knowledge avatars, students are more likely to stay motivated because they are experiencing these every new stage in their learning process is exciting because they mastered what they had in the past, what they learned in the past.
That was a lot.
Sorry.
No, don't be sorry. That's fantastic. That's why I was letting you roll with it, because it was just fascinating to hear you talking about all these things, and you had already pre-answered a bunch of questions I was going to ask you. It's a fascinating time to be alive, and it seems like every aspect that we dive into, there's so much singularity and customization. The guys over at Stelvio are battling, among other things, glioblastoma, and they're looking to say, hey, let's just poison your body with chemo and radiation. Let's find the right combination of these chemicals to kill the cancer that's in your specific body. And that's doable now because we have bots that can go out and learn at a rate that is exponential, cubed, over any, scientist's wonderful life's work. They can outperform them. So not only are you getting something that's much more specific in your guys' case, especially, I mean, you talked about schemas earlier. I love schemas. I'm all about it. So you've got 30 schemas in a class and you're trying to build something on someone's existing infrastructure of the mind. And, the way we do it right now is like, here's your new schema. And if it doesn't fit, maybe we'll do something else. But we're saying, nope, we can do better. We can be a lot more specialized, a lot more individualized in how people grasp and master a topic. And I think that's just fantastic. And it's going to give us all things to do. Matt Greeley from Bright Idea, who's an innovation company, and I love to say this, but I'm just going to keep saying it because we keep freaking out about robots, so let's understand this. As long as the pace of innovation is greater than the pace of automation, which it always has been for all mankind. And we're going to be all right. We're going to have new jobs. We're going to be able to develop these courses and find other ways of creating revenue. So yes, it's scary. Yes, there's change coming, or the change is already here, frankly. But it's exciting. It's an exciting time to be telling all these stories with you guys, because it's so special. It's such a neat and transitional time to be around, to watch how we're going to alter our reality for one that maybe is, more specific to us and allows us a greater and sweeter life. So if no one else has said it today, man, I really appreciate the work that you're doing. Thank you for doing what you do and working to improve our lives. I really appreciate that, Emiliano.
Yeah, well, thanks, Pete, and I appreciate being on Popping the Bubble. I'd like to stay in touch because we obviously you have a strong interest in learning, and I think that it's about time that we revolutionize with learning how we learn things. Of course, we know that word "revolutionize" is being used a lot, so it's always thrown about, particularly when it comes to education.
Yeah.
And and a lot of things have happened. I mean, after all, we have the internet, and when I was a student, we didn't have an internet. We barely had a library. So,
Yeah.
So things have changed tremendously. That is great. But I think that what is also changing is that people are changing careers a lot. They are, they need to constantly learn. There's a new feeling in the air that students want to learn on a regular basis. They want to learn different things, but they don't want to sit down in a classroom environment all the time. They don't want to be in a situation where they have to follow somebody's 30 minutes of
Right.
lecturing or
Right.
whatever that is that they've done.
Yeah, and we already know the
Well,
lecture method isn't all that powerful. We can definitely do
Right.
better. Experiential learning easily beats up on the lecture method. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I love these things. I love talking about them. I love getting smart. And let me ask you this. So, one of my favorite people in the whole world is a guy named Dr. Robert Greenberg, and he teaches people about music. Neil deGrasse Tyson, what he does to science, Dr. Bob does to classical, or what he calls literate music. So he's got 666 courses that he's already done. Some of these are sub courses in a bigger block of curriculum, but someone who's got, let's say, 500 hours of curriculum out there, how long does it take, if you were to guess, to chew that up and put that into an avatar-based training? Like if he said, I'm going to start doing this tomorrow, could it be done in a year, 6 years? And is that too hard of a question to ask?
Without knowing how many individual concepts we have to deal with, it is a hard question to answer. But with knowledge avatars, you don't have to do it all at once. You don't have to publish it when it's all done. You can do it in stages. So you decide what I want to focus on today is to teach. I want to teach music, ear training. I want to do more like an ear training type thing.
Okay.
So you focus on that part of it, and you start thinking which concepts does that entail? What are the prerequisites to those concepts? So you create your knowledge matrix for that particular area. And then you put it out there, so the next step you pick another subject. Just to give you a recent example, with English as a second language, language has a writing, a comprehension component, has a comprehension component, and then it has a production component. So those are two very different things. In the comprehension, you have oral comprehension, you have written comprehension.
Mm-hmm.
Again, two different things. And similarly, in production, there's a writing production and speaking. So those are four separate areas that we've already identified, and now we're going into looking into the simplest one, which is written comprehension. So that is that is the process that we would use, and because knowledge avatars is so object oriented, you don't have to complete something before you put it out there to your students. But by complete, I mean you don't have to have all the subjects or all the concepts covered You could have 90% of them, or 80%, or even 50% covered, and then so now your knowledge avatar. If you're a tutor, for example, if you're a teacher, your avatar may be able to handle 25% of students' needs, or 50% of student needs. And as you refine it over a year or 2 years, perhaps, it'll get smarter and smarter, and then eventually be able to handle 80 or 90% of your students' needs. But initially, you can start off with a lot less, and still, still provide a service that you would not normally have.
Man, that's incredible, and I can't. It's just so. Every time you start talking, I start thinking of new avenues and new ways this is going to impact things. I was thinking about surgical teams. There's a guy that I'm talking to named Brian Ferguson, and they're working on improving. They want to immerse people into high stress situations instead of having it actually be a high stress situation of a heart transplant or whatever it's going to be. Put them in that world like you're talking about, where you have avatars, and it's like, this is happening, and you're doing sort of an avatar centric experiential learning system, but it's not an actual human that you're operating on, and these kind of changes and the ability to do this stuff more effectively is going to lead to, look, there's a company that we're going to put a show up, I think, next week, Prellis Biology. They are literally moments away from being able to print organs, pancreas, kidney, all of these things. And, is it going to happen tomorrow? No. But is it going to happen in less than 10 years? Sure as heck seems like it. So there's going to be a lot of people. There are literally, yes, there's a list of over 100,000 people that need a specific liver or organ transplant, well over 100,000. But there are also 1 million people that are in some form of degradation where they ultimately do need it. So transplants are going to become an industry in and of itself, because we'll have access to these organs, and it's guys like you that are going to teach the doctor, the transplanter of the future, how to get these things done, because that's also an emerging industry. I mean, can you imagine where are you going to put 1 million more operations, within our medical system? Where are they going to sit and do it? Who's going to do it? How many doctors are like, man, I wish I had some stuff to do today. That's just not a thing. So all of these things, and that's just one avenue. That's just one thing in this sphere of knowledge that we're just exploding. So it's super cool to talk to you. I for sure want to keep in touch and know more about what you guys are doing. Hopefully I'll be able to get down to San Diego at the end of the month and check you guys out. I'm not sure if it'll work out, but let me just tell the audience really quick. You are Emiliano De Laurentiis with 2 eyes. Find him on LinkedIn. If you can't find him, you could always find me at Pete A. Turner on Twitter, on Instagram, everywhere. I'm glad to link you guys together, because what these guys are doing is really special, and it's a chance to monetize and also learn. So all good things. I love it. I appreciate you being on. For Sandra and I, thank you so much, Emiliano. I really appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you very much, Pete. Looking forward to talking to you in the future.